there's nobody better at the game than the content creators because they're playing it every single day. They're having to talk about it every single day. They're having to explain it every day. And, they say one of the best ways to learn something is to teach it. And I feel like that really goes for us. And, most of us get into it because we're good at the game anyway. But it's very interesting to see, it's interesting to see that proven. I do miss those early days when you had to get creative and you had to be smart about your approach to it to really get success. I want a tool that makes my job easier but doesn't do the job for me. It's exciting to find it, and if it's just given to you every time, what am I doing other than playing a simulation game?
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me from the Fateless team is going to be Sham and Simon. And then our special guest for this episode is going to be none other than a good friend of all of ours for many years, and one of the best to ever do it in the Raid Shadow Legends community, creator of an epic clan boss tuning tool, Mr. Deadwood Jedi. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here with y'all.
I feel like in a previous life, Brad actually was a hype man, potentially in the ring for a boxer. Hey, let's get ready to rumble. Like, oh, there he is.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, out of all the creators I think I've ever met, I've probably spent the most one-on-one talking time with Deadwood. I mean, how many nights have we stayed up till 7 a.m. just talk?
I'm like, Brad, you look
seems like every time we get together, that's what we end up doing, is having a late night chat about life and everything around it. So,
yeah, life, content, gaming, strategy, just everything. Me and Deadwood are like, wait, the sun's coming up. We should probably go to bed.
So many times. So many times. It's really
lots
hilarious.
of buzzing, man. You got it.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you, man. So just quick, let everybody know kind of what you've been up to. What's up with your channel? What's up with gaming? What are you playing right now? And kind of and for those of you that haven't maybe seen your content, maybe the quick 30-second rundown all about you.
Sure. Let's see. 30-second rundown about me is Deadwood Jedi. It's my channel and everything associated with it, right? Like Twitch, Twitter, all that jam. YouTube, obviously. I do Raid Shadow Legends content, so a lot of my content has been focused around Clan Boss, which is kind of in an odd state these days in the game, but all because I created a Clan Boss calculator. Wasn't all my stuff, but I used community information that was out there and I put something together so you can calculate how your clan boss team is going to perform, not necessarily damage results altogether, but like how to set it up, how to make a team so that it works 100% every single time. And that's really kind of changed the way that we approach clan boss in the game. And so the website, deadwoodjedi.com, you can go there, you can find existing teams and build your own out of that. It's usually probably one of the best things, that library that's out there for the community. But then you can always go into the calculator itself and create your own team using the champions that you happen to have on your account. Takes into account, skills, timing, all that stuff, speeds of the champions and things like that. Other than that, I mean, my channel right now, I haven't really been posting a lot lately. I kind of hit a little bit of doldrum. So like lately I've been playing a lot of old school games, Heroes of Might and Magic 3, so Civilization.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've been going back, trying to, rediscover some of that love. Yeah. Oh, perfect. I was playing that a little bit earlier today, actually. So yeah, I've just been kind of, trying to, one of the things with doing this is like things evolve and change. And so you're just trying to always find that joy, that passion for it. And it's been a little bit lacking for me lately, but I'm still playing Raid every single day. I still have the screen on my other mounted monitors right now. So
he's actually playing right now.
I am literally crushing Arena at the moment. But yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of, it's trying to keep that balance up for me. And so I'm in a little bit of a down thing, but I always end up doing this with my content on my channel. So
I'd say one of the things
which some cool stuff.
One of the things which I've enjoyed most over the last couple of years is when you do the creator competitions. And
yes.
I know certainly something with Fateless where we talked about some of the things we'd like to have is this kind of like sense of being able to set up a competition or a tournament, but perhaps talk people through what that's looked like and perhaps why you went in that direction for some of your content.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was, I think, I mean, and that might be the one thing I put together that I'm like most proud of when it comes to raid content.
Yeah, is like super fun, really amazing. Yeah,
it's one of the things I love about it is all the content creators love it. It gives us a way to kind of generate content each for ourselves, but also we're all competitors. That's why we game, right? We like that idea of competition. And so it's a very fun thing to be able to get. Basically what I did is I got, I started off with a small clan boss competition. We get 4 people, we draft a team, and then we see who can do the most damage. And we've expanded that out to like basically an Olympic style game where we have like 15 people or something like that, 12 people competing in teams. And it's, for me, that was something where I was just trying to find something different to do. Again, try to find that passion. And there was when I first came into the game, there was a lot of content creators doing a lot of collaborative competition style. Brad put out a bunch of those things actually. But I noticed there was kind of a vacuum for that. So I try to fill that a little bit with that competition. And it's definitely something I want to do more of because it's one of the more fun things that I know the content creators look forward to. I can't tell you how many people have been like, I really wanted to get in the tier 3 program so I get on the test server so I could do that competition.
Just so you can do it.
Okay. Yeah, like seriously. I know MTG Jedi said that, a couple other people, so I was like, oh dude, this is cool. All right. So yeah, it's I think having, I think this is actually one of the reasons why all these games have this arena competition, right? Have arena modes in general. Is that idea of competing against other people is such an important part of keeping things fresh, giving you motivation to improve what you have already on your accounts and stuff. And for us as content creators, it's fun to bring that sentiment into our content area of the game, and it's great for the audience. They always, they start backing their favorite people and, get a lot of support that way, but also, they love being able to, just root for things and argue about what choice was best or worse. And what I've always been impressed with is everybody, you kind of, we're all a bunch of talking heads. And so everyone's like, oh, what does he really know? And then you go, oh my God, that was pretty awesome. Like, I did not expect, Simon, you brought Morag into your team, and everyone's like, oh my God, how is this champion so great? Or like, I know YST in one of our first Clan Boss competition, everyone's like, this team's trash. And like, he came out and put on a heck of a show with this weird kind of damage mitigation team. And everyone's like, wow, it's such a cool thing. But that idea of like, how can we look at the game in a different way? How can we bring in, different approaches to stuff and utilize different mechanics in ways that people aren't typically doing? And there's nobody better at the game than the content creators, because they're playing it every single day. They're having to talk about it every single day. They're having to explain it every day. And, they say one of the best ways to learn something is to teach it. And I feel like that really goes for us. And, most of us get into it because we're good at the game anyway. But it's very interesting to see, it's interesting to see that proven factually when we go into those kind of competitions.
And what was most interesting for me, certainly when we look forward for some of the stuff we're thinking about at Fateless, is we almost had you had that vanilla first one where it's like, just build clan boss teams or whatever, but it evolved to be more like a draft format. It evolved to be things like, here's some restrictions around what you're allowed in your team, and all of these things which basically force the player, or in this instance the content creator, to think outside of the box from just, I've got everything at my disposal. And I know when we're talking about things like roguelike modes, or when we're talking about things like PvP competitions in Fateless, actually we're starting to think in that sort of way. If we put certain restrictions in a mode and mix it up for a season or for a month or whatever we're going to do, how would the player feel about that? And is that actually an enhanced experience, or is it a frustrating experience?
That's a really good point. I mean, we see this in games like Raid where, they have all these tournaments with these weird restrictions on it. And I don't know about you guys, I freaking hate those things. I'm like, I don't bother doing them at all. But it's such a different thing from, this kind of like draft competition or thing where I can like join in. And I sometimes wonder what that difference is. I think it has to do with an even playing field, right? Where one of the things we always struggled with when I do these drafts or these competitions is like, how do we make it balanced? We settle on player power. That's an easy thing. It's not perfect, but it kind of works, right? But finding a way to keep balance between competitors, I think, means so much. And having that kind of, like, I know you guys are talking about things like, different arena styles and stuff like that, but having something that's, you see this in all these games where it's like, there's one that's balanced, where it's like, there's no advantage in strength for everybody. And like, it's a different kind of experience, whereas versus bringing all my best gear and my best champions and, competing like that.
Well, so something Brad mentioned, a little while back was the idea of this PvE VP concept, right? Like, so you're talking about the tournaments. You're talking about the tournament, and this is kind of what you are doing. Not even kind of, it is exactly what you're doing. You're saying, hey, you're gonna build a team to fight against the boss, and then we're gonna compete on those things. It's not a direct PvP, where
right?
It's like my team versus your team, 1v1.
Yeah.
Well, you see what I'm saying, but it's really interesting because people are way more they're just as invested, I guess, in that, but they're way less hesitant to get involved. And I think that's not just content creators. As content creators, we like the head-to-head, like direct. We don't have a problem. Like, you're playing PvP, like you said.
Sure.
We all like PvP, but I think for the broader community, it really highlights it was probably kind of a petri dish in a sense of testing whether or not this was compelling content, compelling people to watch, compelling people to try. Clearly, it kind of came out as one of those things where, like, wow, people really like this PvEVP or whatever we want to call it, right? These tournaments. So yeah, it's really cool to see. Yeah.
but also what's fun, like when you did those tournaments where you had all of the different areas of the game in the mix, and PvP was actually one of those elements. It was one of the most fun areas for me to watch. So, when the content creators are going at it, and again, they've got restrictions around their team. The other content creators are putting up defenses, which they hope are going to be a bit of a red herring. And when someone actually does slip up, it's incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, it feels such a great moment.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. Like, I was surprised. So, like I said, we've done a couple different versions of this. Typically, it's like it's a Hydra competition or it's a clan boss competition, right? Where everybody's trying to draft a team for one boss. But we have this kind of Olympic style thing. We've done it 2 years. I gotta find a way to do it again because it was so much fun to do before. Where we do different categories, right? We do all the dungeons, and like you said, we have an arena thing. And I have to agree with you. To me, that's the most fun part of it, was doing the arena, because like everybody would have a different faction. For those of you that don't know this, everybody would have a different faction. They have to use all the champions from that faction. So it was really interesting going like, how do I make an arena team with only the champions from this faction and go against an arena defense from different factions? And it was super interesting to watch and very fun to see what people approached it at, like their approach to it. And I was shocked with that. Honestly, that was like, I agree with you. That was the most fun thing, and it was surprising at how enjoyable
was it. Was it as fun to play? Because I feel like one thing that I always notice, just generally, is people love to watch PvP. People love to see other people duking it out. Like, you want to see an MMA fight, you want to see a basketball game, you want to see.
Sure.
But when it comes time to, like, now I'm in the MMA fight or I'm in the basketball game, people are like, whoa. Hold on a second. Like, that's not what I talked about here. Did you find that people enjoy
There's two aspects to it, I think. One of them is that people are always scared to be embarrassed, right? And so there's a lot of people that will be like, a lot of competitors, myself included sometimes, where you throw out all the, like, before you get it, okay, I don't know if my team's going to be good.
Right. I had a really rough night last night. You're like, hold on, why are we setting this all up?
Yeah, right. And there's there are definitely some people, like, I've approached a lot of players, a lot of content creators that are like, nah, I'm not, I don't think I'd do good, and I don't want to do it, right? And it was like, that's fair. My approach is always just like, well, I'm gonna have fun, win or lose, right? And the losing is usually the best part, right? It's like,
it's way funnier. Yeah.
Anybody that plays Dungeons and Dragons will tell you it's the mistakes that are the best parts of the game, right? So like, that's kind of my approach to it, but I think that's a huge part of it. And then the other part is that that competition aspect, right? It's something that a lot of us get into, and I think for those, it's very few people, I think, especially with gacha games, very few people that play the games just as it's like, I'm just gonna do my own thing, and I don't care, how good I am with anybody else. I think most people are like, well, I want to get better at this. I want to, prove and get better. And when you get to the high ends, you're like, I want to be better than everybody else, And so like, there is that part that I think everybody taps into. And it's just a lot of fun. And so like, as an audience member, I'm assuming that a lot of what they're doing is they're putting themselves in our shoes. They're going, okay, how would I have done that differently? What would I have picked here? Is this the approach I would have taken? And then you either get surprised because it works, or you get validated because it doesn't.
You're like, see, that's what I would have done too. Yeah.
So
exactly.
either way,
but also, I think you get to a point where even the viewers, they just root for someone. And when you root for someone, you're invested anyway. So
it's different.
And it's
100%.
You might be rooting for the underdog. You might be rooting for just your favorite, in this instance, content creator. But there's always an element of I really want this person to do well, or that's a really interesting team. I really want that team to win. Like you just get this kind of like sense of being involved from the outside.
100%. 100%. And I think that's a great. I think that works with all those other elements too, right?
Yeah.
Like I know, like Scratch, but like when we were doing the Olympic one, he was super good at it. Just he's got such a great account, and he's such a smart player, right? So everyone's like, Scratch is going to do so well. And he was, I think in Arena, he was dominating. So you could feel it. Everybody was rooting for him to lose just to have a little spice in it.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter that he didn't lose, right? But like, it divided. Like either people were like, yeah, Scratch beat him, or like, come on, somebody, messing.
Somebody toppled the king. Like, come on, spill some blood.
Exactly. I always, one of the reasons why I don't really necessarily like competing in these is I always end up being on the, his clan boss team's gonna kill everything. I'm like, God, I'm not. It's not. I can make a great team. I don't know if I can put it, beat everybody else. So it's always
yeah. Well, I guess it kind of ties us back really to where we started, but with the tools. So I played pre-tools. Okay, I was one of the OGs. I know Brad. I think probably all of us did actually, to some degree. Yeah. So and there's an element to say that tools strip some fun out of the game. So I just wonder, where do you stand on that? Like, so obviously, got the optimizer. It helps people play the game. The clan boss calculator, the arena calculators, they help people understand how to play the game better. But do they do too much? So where do you stand on that type of thing?
I think I probably have a really unique view on this because of the clan boss calculator, because it was really the first tool that was out there. And you and Brad both know this, right? But like before that was out, if you're doing 35 million on the clan boss, you're like, this is a great run. Like, great run, right? And then like right before I brought up the calculator, a couple people came up with an unkillable team, but it was like real dirty. Right, you had to sit there and watch it, because if you did too many turns, it would fail. Like there was
those days, man. They're rough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was like it's gonna be a 40-minute run.
Just timing it, aren't you? Like, hold on a minute. Have I been 35 minutes? Has it been 40 minutes?
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, people are watching the run and going, okay, how long do I have to wait before I have to come back here, and like scheduling that. But after the calculator came out, it changed a lot, right? We were able to build a wide range of teams. We were able to come up with different ways to create, 2 key teams really easily. Then all of a sudden 1 key teams. And now it's like, if, you put out a video on Clan Boss now and they're like, well, if it's not an instant 1 key, what do I care? Like, this seems stupid.
Yeah. I mean? Does all affinities and
right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do miss those early days when you had to get creative and you had to be smart about your approach to it to really get success.
Like the gold rush, the Wild West kind of in a way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun because every time a new champion come out, I could create a new team, basically. Like, oh, new mechanics. How do we incorporate this? And we're kind of beyond that point now. Like it's real. Most people are be able to do that. Like in your free to play competition, I think I was able to do a 1 key, not 1 key, but 2 key clan boss team in a month and a half.
Yeah.
Like 2 months, something like that. Like the challenge isn't, that was challenging, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same.
But the game's just known. The game's got to a point where it's known to the level, and the tools have helped do this, but it's known to the level that older content is pretty trivial. And even new content coming out, the tools generally get bent to enable you to understand the new content really fast.
Yeah.
In terms of speed and all this type of stuff.
100%. So there's a couple things about the tools that I like. To get back to your original question, is it good for the game, right? Really, question. I think that there is a balance there. I remember when I first came up with my calculator, a lot of people started jumping on that bandwagon, like, oh, look at all the things we can do. Somebody created a tool that could like find a speed tune for you. It just go through a bunch of different iterations and find something that would work. I think that's actually how we got the double man-eater unkillable team.
Oh, right.
But I don't like that. My feeling is I want a tool that makes my job easier but doesn't do the job for me. Because it's fun to find it. It's exciting to find it. And if it's just given to you every time, what am I doing other than playing a simulation game?
Right. It becomes auto.
You know,
Exactly. It's almost because this game already has an auto feature for you to be playing. You make your team and then you hit auto and you go auto. But if everything before that is also auto, like that's
why am I playing the game?
Yeah.
Why don't I just play on the tool?
It's AFK. It's an AFK game basically. You just say like go make that for me. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Where do you stand on this, Brad? Just out of interest, with the tools coming in and the game fundamentally changing, I would say when they did.
Yeah. I guess I'm a little bit more nostalgic of a gamer. I liked it when it was like none of us know what we're doing and we're just experimenting. Like one of my favorite memories as a kid was one summer, me and my best friend trying to beat Super Nintendo Zelda, and we had like a notebook and a pen and paper.
Definitely.
And we're testing it took us the whole summer vacation, but we 100% of that game. But nowadays you can just go to a website, go to a YouTube video, walk through, and it would take you 2 days. But like,
did you ever do the phone up thing back in the day? Like, I can't beat this part of a game.
Call the like
Game
Pro hotline or whatever.
Yeah,
I did this once because I was like, I can't even remember what the game was called, but I was like, I swear I need to move this block here. And I remember showing my power man. I was like, I think I need to move this block here. Anyway,
like
it wasn't
$5
working.
a minute though.
Yeah, it was so expensive. I phoned up this number. Like my mum was doing absolutely bonkers at me because it cost probably about 40 quid or something. Anyway, I came back and I was like, they're saying I've got to move the block where I think I've got to move it. Again, showed my same PAL, moved it there, and it just stuck. And I was like, that's what I was doing. Right. But anyway, like that was the old school, basically use a tool, right? So sorry, carry on, Brad. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember like calling in to like Nintendo Game Power or whatever. Yeah, for $5 a minute. But no, it's in every industry, because I think the same thing in golf. Like, I grew up as a golfer, playing in high school and trying to play in college and all this stuff. And I look back and I'm like, geez, now they have these devices that can like hone in your clubs down to like the 10th of a yard, and you got like permanent video footage of every angle. Like when I was in high school, we were lucky if we saw a video of our swing like once a year. And,
like, just go by feel and
you just go by. But like now, just and poker, same thing, and chess. So they have all
World Series of Poker. You saw that controversy come through. I don't know if you saw this.
People. There was a guy. For those that don't know, he was like in between hands. He was running over
the winner. The winner.
Yeah, the winner. He won like $10 million, and in between hands, he was running over to his friends who had a laptop, and they were like having a solver.
They had a solver.
Yeah. So it's I feel like there's got to be a middle ground somewhere, but there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Like we're in the information age, and yelling to get off my lawn isn't gonna do any good.
It is an interesting topic though, because like we're being asked right now with HH Gaming, great, the optimizer, all that type of stuff. So we're literally being asked, you're doing great things with the optimizer. Is the optimizer going to be built into your game? And that's a tricky one to answer, because if you put it in the game, who's experimented with gear, who's trying to find their own way, how much are you solving the game for someone without them really playing the game? And I do like these third-party tools coming in, and people having a space in the community saying, I've got some really interesting ways to help you play this game. I like it all, but I'm not sure that I want it all in the game. Imagine if the clan boss calculator was built into the game and you pumped in, these are my heroes, give me my best possible outcome. Are you playing the game at that point? Well, if it's built into the game,
I think a big thing about this is, like, if you look at when did your optimizer and when did these tools come out? Because 100% it was not at the beginning of the game, because there's a big discovery phase. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, the thing is, the calculator came out about 2 years after the game debuted, thereabouts. I think about a year and a half. Well, no, I think it was about 2 years after the game.
It was just under 2. Yeah, somewhere in there though.
Yeah. And so it gave the game enough time to establish itself, gave people enough time to play with things and explore. And it also gave the game enough time to establish itself as a quality game, right? So this became an add-on. And then it probably another 2 years before the clan boss was really, till we got these auto battles.
Solved.
Yeah. Right? Till it was solved. So like even when we had the tool, because it wasn't something that gave you all the answers, there's plenty of time for people to experiment and build and learn. And so it gave it this nice continuum of timing with it, right? Even the optimizer, right? Like it didn't start out with all the bells and whistles, and it took itself some time. You know, I think came in about 3 years after the game debuted, or
Is that right?
3 or 4, right? Something like that. And so
about 3 years, yeah.
Yeah, 33 and a half, I think, like, because it came in.
I thought it was sooner than that, but apples and oranges.
But I think it came in about a year and a half after my calculator did, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, the result of that too was it like this kind of like, okay, the game's fully established now. We're getting acclimated tools, and now it's building on that. What I worry about games now, something like Fateless, is it's going to be released, and then in a month there's going to be a tool for it. You know what I mean? And to what degree and to what success level is that? Like we all know each other. We both run websites with tools. I make a good, it's one of those things where it's like, I'll never ask you guys how the game works on the back end, because that takes, not only does it take away all the fun of it for me, but I also think that takes away a lot of what, is good about, the discovery process of these games, these tools, right? And just like I know you guys wouldn't give me that information if I asked, but I mean, I think that's an important thing. I mean, unless you guys want to give it to me.
he's like, actually, I am asking, and if you're ready to go. No, but
I mean, I think it's a question mark. I don't know I don't know. What do you do if there's a tool that that opens your game up in the first, 3 months? Where does your game go from there? I think that's a really, interesting question.
Well, it depends on what's opened up. So like, I think that's the thing. Like, it's actually quite, whether you like it or not, things can be real. Source can be broken down. You can get a lot of data. Maybe not all the data, but you can get a lot of data, right? Just from sniffing packets, and there's all kinds of ways, right?
Well, it's my phone, so there's got to be some data on my phone, right?
Exactly. So, some data is there. The thing is, I wouldn't be concerned about it. It's actually, it's good because it's one of those things where those third-party tools, because they're not fully integrated, and again, we will not. There's no reason, and it wouldn't be fun for anybody, by the way, if we fully integrated an optimization tool and basically just made the game auto. It's not fun for anybody anyway. Yeah. But because they're not fully integrated, they still have some, you have to have some expertise. Like you have to go and like, the tools are, it just takes some work to even make them work for you anyway. You still have to understand things. And as long as people are interested and they're excited about playing the game, and they have a community of people that they're also interested in communicating with about the game, and they're excited about competing with them and being the best and finding the edge. So maybe the edge is these optimizer tools. Maybe the edge is hiding information from other people that you found that you don't want to tell anybody. We have all kinds of cool things that you can hide from people. That type of thing, as long as that's happening, everyone's winning basically. Fateless is happy.
We definitely don't want to lose that discovery period. Like the discovery period for the game, I think, as we've all said, and in a lot of games, by the way, it's really that fun exploration. Like, I remember playing World of Warcraft, and I was I was in the OG kind of camp. We didn't have a clue what we were doing. I was a druid.
Just wander.
And it was like, how the hell do I get my druid quest? And I was, it was hard back then. Like there was no kind of just go and look it up. So I think that discovery time is just super crucial for a game to flourish and for community to find their path, and also for us as game owners now to understand if we need to tweak things back because they're just impossible to find, really hard to find, or too easy like the other side. So and I think,
and by the way, we've already seen this, right, in just like regular games. Like think about if you were to go buy, you probably can do this right now. You go to buy Elden Ring, and then you go buy the guide for Elden Ring. I mean, this used to be a thing. You just go online at this point, but it used to be you would buy the guide, and you would, if you didn't, and my buddy Seth, I'm going to call you out, Seth, would always do this. And he'd be sitting there with the guide. I'm like, what are you doing? Play the game. But there's some people that's the enjoyment. They want to be completionists. And it's like, as long as there's segments, there's different people that enjoy different elements of the game, as long as everyone's having a good time, and there's, because there's still discovery. He's reading through the book and it's still telling him stuff as he goes. He just finds it faster or in a different way maybe Simon.
What was that called? Like Prima's Ultimate Strategy Guide or something?
Yeah. Prima and
Prima.
or whatever it was. Yeah. We've seen it, and it isn't a problem as long as again, this is not built directly into the the game itself. Like, and it's not a problem. Some games do quite well as AFK games, essentially, where you're not playing, and the main focus is you log in, you tap a couple things, then you log out and you come back and you check in a couple days and you got more stuff. You're like, oh, new stuff, but that's not us. Like that discovery period, like Simon was saying, just super crucial.
Just a quick side note. What's the last game that you guys had an actual text guide for? For me, it was Oblivion, like the one right before Skyrim. Yeah, I had a text guide for Oblivion.
One of the Kingdom Hearts, one of the Final Fantasies, somewhere in there, just because I like the art.
I think the only two I had was Legend of Zelda.
Legends of Zelda, that might have been mine. Yeah.
Because that I couldn't get through the forest.
Ocarina of Time?
No, the first Zelda, the very first
Zelda.
Zelda. I'm an old school gamer, baby. So Zelda won, right? But there was a forest that you had to like do these turns in a particular order. I remember I used it for that. And of course there was what was that game called where you had to do A, B, X, up, down, left, right, whatever.
Contra,
yeah, all right. And then I think the other one was Sim City 2000.
Oh, that's a great game.
Build Order. Yeah. I like it.
That game messed me up. And I was like, okay, how do I make money? I can't make money. And I was like, okay, then it got easier.
I played that game so much in computer class. That's cool.
I played it a ton. So did you do the cheat code where you got infinite money and you were just like,
oh,
but you're off building airports on this sort of separate island, just you don't want to pollute any of your other buildings, so you could get like big towers. And then now and then one of your big towers just like turn into little hovels, and you're like, how many times do I need to rebuild this bit here? And why is it always a hovel? Like, what's wrong with this area? I put like this great Super Mario statue in the middle, and it's like, why?
I remember there was some back in like when that game was still out. I remember there's some mayoral race I think in Minnesota somewhere, where they had the two competitors actually play a game of SimCity, and the one who did better in the game won the race. So I don't know if they were a better mayor, but I know they won the race. So
no, they're definitely a better mayor. The gaming,
definitely
gaming skill directly applicable to mayoral status. I agree.
Directly applicable. Yeah. Well, that's otherwise who's you got to know to put the airport on an island. Otherwise, what am I doing? So I think that only makes sense.
That's too funny.
I know you were saying something, Simon, before I asked that question, weren't you?
If I was, I've lost track.
It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry, I forgot where I was going.
Well, then one thing we do like to ask people, Deadwood, was a couple questions we would like to get from people. So first off, what's next for you? Kind of on the horizon. What are your plans for the next year or two, and kind of moving forward with content or gaming or life in general?
Sure. Well, life in general, I plan on moving shortly. Just be a little bit closer to my folks. And so that's something I plan on doing the next month or two. Outside of that, like content wise, one of the things I've been kind of batting around in my head, and I think I'm going to start doing this, is camping guides again. Haven't done those in a long time. But just like making that a more regular part of my content. But like my idea is to do it under 10 minutes. So do a 10-minute champion guide. Like, hey, this is what a guy can do. This is how you could use them. Real simple and straightforward. I would like to do another competition. Hopefully before the summer is out would be ideal, but we'll see. We're getting a little short on time here for that kind of thing. But right now, those are my two biggest focuses as far as content goes. But yeah, I mean, I just came back from Europe. I just saw Simon recently, which was awesome.
Cruising around London,
a lot of the crew.
Cool.
Yeah. It's turning into a yearly tradition, which I'm really enjoying.
This is just sorry to interrupt, but this is such a cool thing that I guess I never expected when I first became a content creator. It was like the amount of people we've now met in person. Yeah. Great friendships, collaborations, both online, but also in person. Like all of that side of this was completely unexpected for me. And it's been awesome, actually. Like just like-minded people, similar interests. But then obviously when you do meet as well, you just get a bit more of an extra, peel back that layer a bit more and really understand the people. So I think that's been something which
100% agree. 100% agree with that. I think it's been great. Like I didn't expect that I would like your wife. But Rachel's amazing, right? Like, she's great.
But is amazing, yeah.
Really, but I really got along with pretty much everybody that I've been able to meet, which I thought would be a surprise. Me and Brad's our long late night talks.
Yeah,
which you could take out of context, but but I mean that idea of like these people, it's so great. But I think that is one thing I would like to be able to, at some point in the next year or two, I would really like to be able to find a way to. I struggle doing content consistently. That's just like my own personal thing, but to find a way to do that, but then find a way to do that while traveling, I think would be an absolute, one of the things when I first started doing this is I realized two things. One, I could live anywhere and do this, which I haven't taken advantage of, and I don't know if I will just because my folks live here. But the other part is being able to travel and do this. And I really, this summer I was able to do that a little bit. Like I took a trip at a wedding in Chicago, and I was actually able to put out a little content while I did that. And I was like, okay,
you just stop by.
It's definitely.
And you didn't even hit Sham up.
I didn't. It was a family. It was a family thing. I'm sorry.
not to come to a wedding. I'm not trying to wedding crash here. I'm saying
Sham will be fine at the wedding, by the way.
I mean, if you wanted to, I'm there.
Sham would just be like, what? And then he'd like whip off something. He's got his suit on already. He's like, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Let's go. Tux is on. No, because I was only spending a week there, and like I hadn't seen my mom in a while.
I'm hearing a lot of
excuses. Was in town with my nephew and niece. Yeah. Basically, I messed up. Really sorry.
We'll discuss this later. Okay. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm kind of hoping to do in the next year or two is like, lean into that a little bit more so I can see Sham without pressure of seeing anybody. Like that'd be great. That's that'd be what I'd like to be able to do.
Yeah, very
cool. Most important question.
Yeah, most important question. Okay. So I'm pretty sure you're kind of familiar with the theme of our game, but just for the viewers, it's going to be around like the gods and myths and legends of all sorts of different cultures throughout history and throughout the world. So is there a favorite Deadwood Jedi kind of myth or legend? Like if you could pick, like, I want this hero to be in the game and I would love them to be awesome. And I think it'd be epic if you guys had this hero like we had, Papa Drock, say, Braveheart, like the movie, getting William Wallace. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be Robin Hood. It doesn't have to be Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, a very popular answer to this question. It doesn't have to be Robin Hood.
This is just an ongoing thing. Simon's here. I had to do it.
Anyway.
Boy, this is a tough one. God, now I wish I'd really...
We like to spring it last second because we want the gut reaction. You
said there was no... I didn't have to do any research for this. I feel bamboozled now.
And you can't say LeBron.
Legend?
You can't say LeBron.
There you go.
First off, you all know I would have said Kobe if I was going to say anything along those lines. But who would I say? One of the things one of the things actually when I was out there and I was talking with Fix and I was talking with Saphira, and I'd mentioned, because you guys are doing this kind of like, these gods of different worlds and stuff, and talking about, one of the things I was talking about was like, maintaining the, and this is one of the things that I think Raid has gotten so much better at over the course. But when it first came out, they was just non-existent, was the idea of like, diversity of characters in it. And I know it's such a loaded topic these days, which I just don't understand. But like, it's a very simple concept. It's nice to see yourself in a game. It's nice to be able to go, hey, I could live in this world, right? It's really all it is. And so, one of the things I was talking to him about was like, how you guys are approaching that, and like, making sure that's something that is on your radar, because I think that's as someone that's grew up playing all these games where just not represented.
Yeah.
So I'm having to do gymnastics, and none of you probably are necessarily, but like it's something that I'm having to do constantly. But I think I would like to see John Henry. You could mix him in the game. would be an interesting one for me.
It's a good
like,
one.
the idea of this, it's a African American, I think he was a railroad worker, big old hammer, knocking down the steel, but he's basically a superhero of myth, and I think that would be kind of fun one.
He was like supposed to be super tall. I'm trying to remember the full like there's like a song now, but it's leaked out of my brain over the years at this point.
I can't like, honestly, I can't even remember everything.
Yeah,
about
railroad worker.
I'm actually just looking now. Yeah, there's a song that goes along with it.
Yeah,
I won't sing it.
The steel driving man. There you go.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the basic idea is like, super strong, super dedicated. I think he ended up dying working on the railroad was the idea of it. But yeah, it's just, I think, just
beast,
kind of
just like a huge, like amazing with a huge railroad hammer. I mean, this guy.
What? So I saw a comment.
More modern day Hercules, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I saw a comment today. Someone saying, surely you guys are going to run out of possible myths, legends, gods really quickly. Like, 100 heroes, you're going to be done. I'm like, it's infinite.
You don't even know, man.
Infinite.
So we've cut some people that I'm like,
honestly, this is a completely different direction that you just called out here than anything we've done so far. But it would still potentially work, right? Yeah, but it still works.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna have the opposite problem of people being like, "What? How is this character only an epic?" And we can't
100%.
have 250 legendaries on launch, So
or some of the gods, they're gonna be like, "Well, where's this god?" You're like, "Dude, we can't have 700, legendaries at launch." Like, wait.
Yeah.
But one of the other parts, one of the things I did mention this to the Fix when we were talking, but Native American gods, Native American legends. I feel like that is such a deep wealth and breadth of possibilities there, and it's such a group of people that are so underrepresented and would I think everybody kind of can get behind like the ethos and like the philosophies and like the mythologies there, and we're talking about hundreds of nations across North and South America, but like having those in there I think would be just such a fun thing. Just great stories. But yeah, if you could add one for me, John Henry. John Henry's
the yeah. I think you'll be
on the list.
I think you'll be pleased at the spread. I mean, again, we can't. We can't quite. I mean, unless Simon's got a.
It's not all gods, right? It's basically like great people too, right? Great,
gods, myths, and legends. So
there will be real people who existed. Yes.
Then you have a lot of options if you do go this.
That's what Simon was saying.
Like, a lot of options there. Yeah. The greatest cowboy in the West was black.
No, who is it?
I don't know.
What's his name?
It was, I want to say there's a couple of them, but I think was it Deadwood Dick? I don't think it was Deadwood Dick. But there's
I feel like it should be Deadwood.
It should be Deadwood Dick. That's the character you guys need to put in there for sure. Talk about great black cowboys. I'll look him up real quick. I'll find it for you. But he's basically Nat Love. That's the one. Nat Love.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been like a lot of the public, nomenclature and stories that we know are actually based off of Nat Love because he was like so legendary. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in history, man. You guys like honestly, probably the most fun thing is like who can we bring in?
This is it. Yeah,
you guys the idea.
Yeah.
And you gotta remember, even after launch, we're gonna be doing updates and releasing factions and releasing heroes. Sure. So even if someone's super bummed, like, oh, how is so and so not? Hey, you never know. Like,
you have to hold some back as well, right? Don't forget, like, if you just come out with all the big hitters on launch, and then it's like, well, we're doing a big, a big event. If you don't bring a couple of big names with a big event, then it's like, well, who's this guy?
Who's this guy?
I don't care about collecting this new guy. Well, we want to make sure we hold some of those back. So,
I totally agree with that. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Like, I think it's such a. Obviously, I think it's such an interesting concept. You guys being content creators and making a game, right? Like, it's just such an interesting thing to me. you know, at some point I want to have, well, like some point I got Simon, especially, I would love to talk to you about like, what is it like, you know, being on that side of it, just creating it, and like, are there lessons that you've learned from the content side that are applying here, or vice versa, that you're like, oh yeah. But I just think it's such an interesting thing.
It's the one thing I can say is it's way, way bigger than you'd ever believe. Like to do, there's just so much stuff going on all the time, and you're kind of like juggling all these balls. But it's also it's because it's something you love and passionate about. It's like, well, you're kind of happy to be juggling the balls, you know. It's like it's but yeah, it's massive. Like it's teams upon teams right now, which is it's crazy, honestly. Yeah, we should do that. We should do that for sure.
I love it.
Cool.
I love it.
Well, hey, Deadwood, it's been awesome, and thanks for joining us. We will link down below to check out Deadwood's channel. He says he's got some epic champion guides coming your way over there on the Deadwood Jedi side of the YouTube. So thanks, Sham, Simon, Deadwood. It was a blast, and we will see you soon in next week's Fateless podcast episode. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me on.